Hello, my name's Nick and welcome to my channel. What you're seeing here is the first of a series of new videos I'm going to make called Nick's Notorious Stories. It's a working title, but I'll figure it out eventually. What I'm doing is bringing more content to my channel, as well as some entertaining stories for you, as well as maybe a third thing, which would be perhaps some closure through the age-old art of confession in some parts. With that out of the way, I'm going to kick this off with a story which is quite special to me. The reason it's special to me is it's not actually a story about me, it's about my very good friend, Tama. And he is very special. One of the reasons he is special is because today, or at least at the point that I actually post this, it's going to be his 28th birthday. And I'm sorry that I can't be with him, having a beer with him, and just wondering how exactly he made it to 28 years old with all of his arms and legs intact. So, cheers to you, Tama. Before I kick off the story, who is Tama? Well, as I mentioned before, he's a very good friend of mine. Maybe not best friend, maybe not as close as Jan. Are we, Tama? Are we as close as Jan? Maybe not. Nowhere as close as this, or this, but that's alright. I don't even like onesies or piggybacks, so whatever the hell is going on here, so, you know, that's fine. I'm happy with where we sit. That's cool. Anyway, Tama and I have been friends since I was 8 years old, maybe 9. There was a rocky start to that friendship, but from about 8 years old we were best buddies. I can remember even back then, Tama never did anything in half measures. If he put his sights on something, he would go and get it. One of his passions was animals, or animal welfare. He loves animals to death. One time, literally, R.I.P. Gypsy. You will be remembered fondly. He liked animals so much. As a kid, one of his favourite movies was Ace Ventura. Not Pet Detective, but When Nature Calls. Pet Detective's probably a close second. He even used to dress up as Ace Ventura as a kid. I reckon it's out of sheer willpower alone that he looks a little bit like Jim Carrey. Either that or there's something his mum isn't really telling us. So that paints a really broad picture of who exactly Tama is. If you want to know a little bit more, just take a look at this clip from a video from when we were kids, going down the Whanganui River.
I'm gonna scare the fuck out of someone. This could be dangerous. Watch this.
Yeah. Just wouldn't work, eh? Not really all of them.
Oh my god!
Oh my god!
Wow, that was good. I scared the shit out of him.
My knees just
Woohoo! You guys nearly fell down that fucking... You nearly fell down that fucking drop. I thought it'd be very dangerous scaring people on this, but... Whoa!
So that's and I'm happy to report that he only got worse. When we turned 18, we ended up moving in together in a house in Wellington on Evans Bay Parade. It was a sort of whitewashed, weatherboard, 1940s, two-bedroom place. Top flat, not bottom flat, which will become relevant if I ever do another Nick's Notorious Stories. There's got to be a better name for that. With our girlfriends, I should mention. That is a very important key part of the story, because otherwise it sounds like we are in some sort of other kind of relationship, which we're not. We had girlfriends, they were real, they're still real, we still have them. Neither of them was imaginary, and I'm going to move on and move away from the bromance a bit. So let me just set the mood a little bit. We didn't have an excuse for being poor, we just were. First time budgeting and working out all of that sort of thing. I worked for a ticketing agency, which I'm not going to name. Tama ended up working nights at a supermarket, which I'm not going to name as well, and he would come home quite late. So that's where the story that I'm going to tell you picks up, and it has to do with some of the stuff I told you earlier, which is about him liking animals. So just if you're locking all that in, that's all part of the context of how this story starts. Eventually Tama got his own car so that he wasn't walking home at 2 o'clock at night through probably one of the least dangerous places of Wellington. Still freaked him out. He ended up buying a light blue Mitsubishi Galant, if I recall. Not sure what year, but it was a first time car, and that was his car. On his way home, Tama went along one of the main roads to Evans Bay Parade, which intersected a road to the airport. So this is quite important, because one Friday afternoon or evening, he's travelling home and he's waiting at the intersection, he's looking around, and he sees this dog, right? This little puppy, really long snout, kind of like a cartoon rat. And he's looking at this little guy and he's thinking, that little dog's in trouble. I'm going to save that little dog. I'm going to save that dog's life. I'm going to bring that dog back to my 2-bedroom flat with my flatmate, my non-imaginary girlfriend, his non-imaginary girlfriend. We're going to call the SPCA and we're going to find its owner. And that's exactly what he did. And it was quite cool because we got this dog for a night, we got to pretend that he was ours, we got to stroke him and all that. And then we called the owner on the tag. The owner came, they picked him up, Tama exchanged a few words. They were so thankful, they were happy to have their dog home. And Tama, you could see in his eyes this sort of shining pride. But at the same time, you could see that there was also a bit of, like a hint of sadness. He had to give this dog up. He'd already built this imaginary scenario, I'm sure, in his head, that even though he knew the dog was somebody else's, that he was going to keep that dog. It was going to be his dog. Not quite the case. So I made sure to watch him, because I knew that somewhere in the back of his mind that idea had taken root, and that maybe over the course of years, or maybe even decades, that he might one day just pick up a dog, take it home, pass it off as his own. And I made sure to just keep an eye on him, make sure that that didn't happen while we were living together. The next morning, he comes bursting into the bedroom, my bedroom, not our bedroom, because I had my real girlfriend, non-imaginary, and he wakes me up and he goes, "Nick, look, it's happened again." I said, "What? What's happened again?" Because I was half asleep. He goes, "I found another dog, another animal that needed my help and to be rescued." And I went, "All right." It's probably a bit more dramatic than that at the time. I went, "Okay. Where is it? Where's this little guy?" He goes, "Oh, I'll show you. He's outside." I went, "Okay, cool. Maybe he was running through some muddy puddles or something and he needs a bubble bath. Then we'll take him back to his owner and it'll be like, hey, reward money or something." So I go outside and the dog's nowhere to be seen. I said, "Where's this dog, Tama?" And he goes, "The dog's down on my car." I went, "Okay, cool. Let's go down and see it." So we jump on the cable car. We go over the edge of this cliff that the house teeters on. And as the cable car curves over the edge, I see his car. And I swear it's shaking. Like, okay. What kind of dog is it? Now, I couldn't really tell what kind of dog it was. Okay. So we get down to the car and I can see this big silhouette in the back window. All the windows are fogged up. And it's like Chewbacca. The dog's like Chewbacca. It's huge. It's taking up the whole back seat, which is why he couldn't let it out, why he couldn't bring it up in the cable car, why he couldn't have it in the house. I'm like, okay, alright, that dog is a bit bigger than the other dog. It's a huge dog. He goes, "Yeah, I know, it doesn't have a collar." Found him on the side of the road. He was looking at me with these eyes, pleading for help. We needed to save him. Okay, let's save him. Let's take him to the SPCA. So, we drive, wake up. We drive from our house around here in Evans Bay Parade. We come down to the intersection where he would have found the last dog. We come along here through to Kilburnie and we're driving around. We didn't really have smartphones. This was well before that time. So we're just driving around lazily looking for this SPCA clinic, asking for directions. Nobody speaks English there. And we finally find the clinic and it's closed. And this is getting to be about 10 o'clock in the morning. I haven't had breakfast. Huge dog is in the back slobbering over my shoulder. And Tom's having the time of his life. Like, he already has it in his mind. Yep, we're not going to find the owner. He's trying to prove himself wrong, so he's in a competition with himself. He's already a really competitive person. And at the end, he gets to win a dog if he beats himself. So, we're driving around. We finally find the clinic. They're closed. They've got a note saying you can go over the hill to our clinic in Newtown. So we're like, okay, cool. And if you can see this map, there are hundreds of tiny tracks. We don't even have a map. We're just following road signs to find this SPCA. So we drive along. By some miracle, we actually managed to find the place. We open up the door. We walk inside, and the guy there uses his computer. Oh, that's a pretty big dog. Yeah, it's a big dog. Can you find out who the owner is? Oh, yeah, he's got a microchip. Cool. And I can see Tama's a little bit disappointed that we managed to find this place. I'm over the moon because I can see this friendship developing. I've already got Jan as competition. I don't need some fucking dog swooping in and taking my friend away. Anyway, we figure out where the address is. He writes it down on a post-it note or whatever. We get back in the car and we start driving again. Already I can see this look of defeat in Tama's face. Just slowly, like he's not really laughing at my really funny jokes anymore. He's a bit more somber. Drive slowly back along to Constable Street, up Constable Street, around the corners, come down here, and we're heading back to Evans Bay Parade. And we pull over at this nondescript house, and Tama opens up the door. He goes, "Alright, come along, come on, dog." I don't remember its name. And he walks up to the door, and I watch him from the car, and they exchange a couple of words. Him and the would-be owner of this dog. Not even a handshake or a high five. Pretty cold. And then Tama slowly, strolls back to the car without the dog. And he hops in the car, closes the door, and he's just quiet, and he just holds the wheel, and he just sort of... But he's less congested as I am. That camera's out of battery, and I let him have a moment of silence and contemplation, thinking about, what he's lost. And then I turn to him and I go, "So, you're upset about the dog?" And he just says, "That's the house." And I said, "Sorry?" And he looks at me and he has this look in his eyes and he goes, "That's the house where I found the dog." So it just clicks in my head. You mean right here, where we've spent all day looking, the holy grail of dog owners who have giant dogs that go missing, this is what we've been looking for the whole time. This is where you found the dog. You kidnapped the dog from this guy's house, took it home, kept it in your tiny car, and then spent a whole day driving it around, basically trying to figure out that it was from where you found it. Yep. Yeah. And so that's Tama, which is a pretty funny story, I thought. You might be watching this already going, "Oh fuck, I'm ripped off," because that's the punchline of the story. But really, this was a free video, so, why are you complaining? I did all the effort making it. If you liked it though, put a like down in the button. There's like a little thumbs up. I'll put that in later. It's not here right on this desk. And if you really like the story and you want to hear more of these, click subscribe, because there are more coming. Probably a lot more hilarious because that's stuff that happened to me. Maybe I'll talk more about stuff that happened to Tama that's even more hilarious if he gives me permission. But in the meantime, I'd just like to say happy birthday, Tama. Hope you enjoyed this story. And if you give me full disclosure, there's fully like a whole series of stuff I can talk about just on you alone, mate. So have a good one. And cheers for watching. Now I'm just gonna find my audio, make sure that's still, yep, that's still recording. This video was brought to you by pistachio nuts. Not the easiest nuts to get into, but probably one of the most rewarding nuts, if I must say so myself. I particularly like the ones that you can open. They're much tastier and better for you. So grab some pistachio nuts today, if you can.